You are standing on a bridge made entirely of air, and you're terrified to look down. That invisible floor is money, a collective hallucination we treat like structural steel. Paper currency is just a dead tree soaked in ink, yet it dictates your physical survival. This flame destroys the illusion, incinerating your perceived safety into worthless ash. Digital numbers on a screen possess zero atomic mass, yet you bleed for them. The screen projects wealth, but the matrix has no physical weight to anchor you. Fiat value shatters like bone. Delusion crushes net worth, destroying your savings. Inflation devours. Your labor vanishes into thin air. The gold standard died because we needed a leash made of smoke instead of iron. Smoke expands infinitely, diluting the purchasing power of every hour you trade for it. Value flees the vault. Follow the decay into the mechanism. Welcome to the mechanism, where central banks manufacture trust like a synthetic hormone. They inject this synthetic trust directly into the veins of the economy, infecting your wages. Debt multiplies in toxic sludge. A blank canvas holds zero utility, yet auction houses will slice millions from your future labor for it. The art market proves that value is merely a consensus hallucination, stabbing you with arbitrary price tags. Interest rates are the leash that yanks the economy backward, ripping the ground from your feet. When the central bank tightens this leash, it strangles liquidity and suffocates your business growth. Velocity of money plummets, gears rust solid, crushing your savings. Salt once functioned as currency, a literal chemical necessity now rendered entirely worthless by abundance. Abundance is the silent assassin of value, dissolving your hoarded wealth like ice in boiling water. Cowrie shells funded empires until the ocean vomited up infinite supplies onto the shores. Supply shocks pulverize monetary monopolies, grinding your ancestral wealth into meaningless calcium dust. Gold anchors nothing, just heavy rock. You cannot eat it. Cryptocurrency attempted to forge a math-based trust, but algorithms cannot erase human desperation. Code cannot codify consensus, so the algorithm shatters under the weight of a human panic attack. Every financial panic in history is just a synchronized awakening from the same shared dream, leaving only zeros. Let us descend into the architecture of the lie, where the machinery of belief is exposed. The swinging pendulum of credit expansion beats you into submission with invisible debt chains. Minting coins creates a physical token of trust, stamping your psychological submission into solid metal. Each strike embeds the state's authority into the metal, hammering your financial obedience into shape. Fractional reserve banking multiplies fabricating wealth from pure nothing. We carve open the earth to extract conductive metal, assigning extreme human labor value to a shiny rock. The terraced scars on the planet represent the blood price of anchoring trust to physical commodities. The sunk cost fallacy is the psychological cement that keeps you chained to a collapsing currency. You cannot abandon the money you earn, so you ride the detonation straight to ground zero. Commodity money ties survival to physical harvest, but drought starves the economy into violent desperation follows. The pawn shop is the emergency room of fiat failure, where panic trades hard assets for shrinking paper. Desperation's the cost. Real estate becomes the final vault for fleeing capital, transforming concrete boxes into speculative weapons. Vaults are empty. Economics textbooks teach equilibrium models that vaporize the moment a human panic button is pressed. Academic models blind you to the herd mentality that tramples rational markets into red paste. Fort Knox represents the ultimate psychological anchor, a fortress built to guard a shared delusion. Hyperinflation reduces the supply chain to rubble, making a bottle of water worth more than your portfolio. Currency collapse poisons the basic necessities, injecting toxic worth distortion into your daily survival. Bank runs are the physical manifestation of broken trust, where the herd tramples itself for phantom withdrawals. The pavement cracks under the weight of a million feet sprinting to retrieve digits that do not exist. Strip away gravity, strip away the state, and money becomes nothing but floating mathematical fiction, gone in the void. Liquidity freezes when trust evaporates, trapping your assets in an impenetrable surface of collective fear. One blow shatters the frozen market, drowning your capital in the freezing depths beneath. The stock market is a casino where the house prints its own chips, guaranteeing your eventual bankruptcy, Worthless chips. Capital flows like water through the economy, but the dam operators control the floodgates of your survival. When they open the floodgates of money printing, the torrent drowns your purchasing power in violent deluge.
SWIFT transfers move digital promises across borders at light speed, but the underlying value moves absolutely nowhere. The pulse travels at light speed, but it carries only the ghost of your labor, severing the physical link to reality.
Labor theory of value dictates that your time is the only real currency, yet the system pays you in depreciating fiction. The thread of your life snaps under the tension of a system that devalues your hours while inflating its own supply. Let's zoom in. This mechanism works like a black hole of value. Here's the step you missed. The black hole is debt, warping the fabric of the economy until light itself cannot escape the gravitational pull. Your wages are the photons, inexorably pulled into the dark void of interest payments you can never outpace. Let's zoom in. This mechanism works like a supernova of debt. Here's the step you missed. Is the debt bubble bursting, scattering the diluted value of your savings across the empty universe. The scattered particles are your fiat gains, rendered meaningless by the infinite expansion of the money supply. Time preference dictates that you sacrifice present consumption for future reward, but inflation steals the future reward. Just as inflation, silently eating the teeth of your future savings gear until the mechanism seizes completely. Petrodollars weaponize the global energy supply, turning crude oil into the ultimate enforcer of monetary dominance. Dollars follow. The financial system is a theater where the audience funds the play, unaware that the script guarantees them the lie. The equation of exchange is the DNA of the con, proving mathematically that more money means less value. When the money supply variable expands, it strangles the purchasing power variable in a mathematical death grip. Social mobility is the elevator they promise will lift you, but the cables are made of the same fiat air. You float on nothing. We pretend money has value because the alternative is staring into a mirror that reflects only our own labor, revealing the void. Here's how this shows up in your daily life. You trade 40 hours of your finite existence for a rectangle of glass. The rectangle displays digits representing your stolen time, blinding you to the real-world value you surrendered. Here's how this shows up in your daily life. A $5 coffee actually costs you 15 minutes of irreplaceable lifespan. The faded receipt proves the transaction was a temporal exchange, burning your finite minutes for a temporary comfort. Retail therapy is the anesthetic they sell you, numbing the pain of wage theft with depreciating consumer goods. The bag deflates because the goods inside possess no lasting value, leaving you holding only empty packaging. You thought a car loan was a path to freedom? Actually, it is a debt anchor because the asset loses value the second you turn the key. Depreciation crushes the collateral, trapping your future labor under a collapsing dome of negative equity. You thought a mortgage was building equity. Actually, it builds bank wealth because you pay triple the purchase price in interest. The interest spike shatters the equity illusion, bleeding your wage directly into the vault of the lender. You thought stock ownership meant control. Actually, it means you absorb the losses while executives cash out their equity. The frame paper burns because your shareholder vote is extinguished match, powerless against insider liquidation. The pyramid scheme of fiat currency requires constant new participants to prevent the structural collapse. Foundation crumbles. Bailouts are the mechanism where private losses are transformed into public burdens, socializing your poverty on your head.